How do you make decision and how can you know if something is right for you or not? Today in this video we're going to see a little bit of overview of the structure of the soul and also how to discern between the voice of the thoughts, your mind, the voice of your running emotion, the deeper voice of the heart or the soul, and how also to discern what could be the influences or the stimuli from the environment around you. This could be social media, it could be the people, could be family members, relationship, or the work environment. So if you're not too sure or have never practiced the understanding of how to discern and distinguish between all of those voices, that could be a lot, today we're going to find out a little bit more about it. And stay till the end because I'm going to give you some easy techniques that you could try to practice and implement right away to discern and be better able to make decision in understanding what is right for you or not. Little overview and structure of the soul. So we already mentioned previously within ourselves, if we can start from the outer layer, well, there would be universal intelligence, which some of you may call Akashic Records or God or Source or whichever label or word you are more familiar with. There are several structures, but the closest to your individual self would be the oversoul. So if we're imagining this in layers of circle, the oversoul, and then the higher self, which would be specifically matched with your physical body. Then it would be the subconscious, and then there would be your rational mind, your physical self. It is said that the mind actually is the receiver, so it is the antenna. Imagine an antenna picking up signals like a radio or the telephone. And so the more then we have a clear channel, the more we are attuned to discern between all those voices that I've mentioned before, and the more we can become better into understanding if the voice and the guidance that we're tuning in is really the one that is coming from our higher self or consciousness or higher consciousness, if it's a message that is coming for your best interest, or if it's a conditioning that is coming from a society. And sometimes the conditioning or the influence could be positive, sometimes could be neutral, sometimes could be negative. The point is really improving your own self-ability to discern and be able to tell which one is which. When it comes to the word psychology and the psyche, some of you are going to be more or less familiar with the word psyche. Psyche, like the etymology of the word, just comes from soul. Psychology, the definition would refer to soul, and then they would say the study of the soul, but then they would turn the definition in the study of the mind and the behavior. But mind and behavior have not to do with the soul. Mind and behavior would refer to that second layer of the subconscious. That would be the collectiveness of lots of elements that also would come from the conditioning, the programming from example. What is an example of this? It could be a belief that is in the family. It could be a behavior or words that you have always received since when you were a little one from your family. It could be you're not good enough, or it could be like you can do anything you want to. So in the negative or in the positive, it could be beliefs having to do with money or success, or men not having to show emotion. So all this would go in the bucket of your subconscious. Then the subconscious would contain all your thoughts and the emotion. So imagine like this very vast container of information, and it would contain anything that you read, anything that your attention come across. Then what your mind would retain is just a fraction of that, because like a chip, imagine a memory in a phone, it wouldn't be big enough to contain all those information, but your subconscious would still retain, so you could always draw information from that. Now within this belief, there might be things that are not necessarily serving you for the better. For example, if there are limiting beliefs around your self-worth, or the money, or that you have always find yourself seeking validation from others because you've grown up with a narrative that you're not good enough, or that you have to prove yourself to others, like you can make sense that this is not necessarily serving you for your highest good. And the beauty of collectively learning from one another, it is that if you watch within the network of people around you, or even people that you could know or you're inspired from watching the internet, you can see that not everyone is behaving in the same way or is being in the same way, which is fascinating and also opens up that level of power and freedom, that there are things that can be done. The brain can be rewarded. There has been such exciting studies within the neuroscience to really demonstrate that everything can be done, and you can really start to transform yourself for the better version. I'm gonna add some more techniques and hints for rewiring yourself at the end or in another video. When it comes to the soul, how do you tell then if when you have a hunch, when you have an hint, when you have an idea, how to know if you're following the trend or following other people, or if that it's really aligned with you? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're following other people. It could be that you've got in a habit of like moving steps ahead in considering one thing about the other. And if you watch the video on reframing, you may have a base understanding of there are emotions and a combination of thoughts and emotion that could be spiraling down, for example, into anxiety and fear, or spiraling upward, for example, into excitement and creativity or joy to create. So this also would make the difference in which trajectory the combination between your thoughts and the emotion can go. Now, wonderful humans and souls such as Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Lisa Nichols, like the list, it's infinite really nowadays to demonstrate that we normally think and operate that the thought generates the emotion, but we can turn that around and have the emotion then create the thoughts, and the emotion setting the state and the vibration for the trajectory that we're going to follow, and eventually the person that we are going to shape into, who are we going to become, and the way we're going to be perceived from others. But keep in mind, there is a huge difference between something that some of you prefer, which is fake it till you make it, and instead of being, like when you become the version of you that is best for you, or that you truly want to know, that is aligned with your core soul, with your core being and your heart, it is very much different than being forced or trying to force something that you're not of. And why would you want to force to be something or someone that you're not? Some like this idea or find themselves without, they never had really a thought about it, but are very accustomed to try and impress or be someone they're not, either to look for approval at a subconscious level, or maybe because everyone is doing that, so why not? Or they associate that with an idea of being successful. The more you start, you know, have you heard like that 1 degree shift? When the plane starts, like if the plane has a destination, that 1 degree turn in the starting point over time can lead to a massive distance. So what is here 1 degree, something a little difference, a little choice, whether there is conscious or unconscious, that you make within the way you speak to yourself and the way you behave, the way you show up yourself for yourself and the community or your family. If you cannot too much see the distance and the gap, what is going to be the impact on you and the consequences, the longer you keep going with that behavior that is not aligned within your true soul, and the far is going to be the distance to then come back, and eventually sometimes the more the suffer. And how do you know that? Well, I'll tell you, this is something that I unfortunately hear very often. And it's so common, so don't beat yourself up if this is you, because this is so common. Actually feel yourself relieved and liberated, because there are so many how to improve this for the better. So if you feel like you feel off, you don't feel so much alive, you're putting up a good face with people around you, with your family, with your relationship, with work, but inside you're lost, you're not too sure about who you are, like you're not too much attuned in with your emotion. If you're not, I hear this most commonly from men, but not necessarily. Some women can experience this as well. If you feel like you haven't developed a practice of knowing how to feel your emotion and connect with your emotion or show emotions to others, this may be very common for you. And you may bounce back, or like your knowingness of yourself could just be relying off what you perceive from other people. So what other people are showing you back. And this could be a relationship, could be your parents, people in your friendship, study colleagues, work colleagues, your clients. But keep in mind, if the people that you have in your network haven't done a self path of personal development or inner growth, in other words, if they have no clue of who they are within themselves, and that they are reacting to stimuli, and then it's like a battle, it's just a mess of signals of one person feeding into the others. When you learn to, and meditation is so powerful, when you learn to quiet yourself and quiet the external noises and get to spend time just within your own self, then that's step one, to get to learn a little bit better what is that inner voice telling you. Who are you? Who are you within your soul? What are the things that excite you? What is your true nature? What are your values? What does really matters for you? And so the practice of that is really gonna position you better in a position of being able to tell, of being able to see and tell when are things from others. Examples. This could be something that your husband or your wife tends to tell you. This could be a feedback that you receive from work, or a behavior, a pattern that you see recurring in your life. How to tell if that is something that is showing something about yourself? As in other words, is that an opportunity for you to become aware and become better of something that you are doing? Or perhaps that is someone unhealed behavior or belief, and they're projecting that on you. When you develop that sense of knowing yourself, you have then more freedom and clarity and peace within to say either, okay, actually I am responsible of this. Thank you for this trigger, and you don't have to say that out loud. This can be a self-reflection that you have within yourself. You have the opportunity to either work on yourself to then improve, or this could just be, for one example, something that is telling that you're not present or that you're not listening enough. Take that, sit within yourself in quiet the noises outside, and check, is that true or not? Now, there needs to be a big level of self-honesty within yourself. Like, you need to be willing to be really honest when you have that conversation with your own self, and then to take responsibility if you know that that is going to be better for you. Is that going to, if you make this change, is going to help you to be a better version or a worse version of yourself? So you can make a difference from that point, for example. Instead, if someone, for example, is accusing you of something that is not, like, when you've checked yourself, you say, no, actually, this doesn't belong to me. This is not true. Like, honestly, I'm present, I listen to other people, staying with this example. Then what you can do, you can really position boundaries. And you can also make a decision there. You can try and have a conversation with the person. And if they're willing to find an agreement or to improve the relation, perfect. And if they're not, you can also have the freedom of decide, maybe that person is not right for you. Or maybe it was. Maybe there was a time where it was appropriate for you to be friends or in a relationship or in a work partnership, and then you've changed. Like, people change, and each stage of life, it may make sense that can attract and resonate different type of people and different type of environment. So don't be afraid of change. Like that can it's a beautiful part of life, and you can also embrace that as a new chapter of growth and development and opportunity. So let's see, what is another tangible, so we talk about meditation and sitting with yourself, but what is another technique that you can use to know if one decision is right for you? So this may be, so we made an example of a word or a pattern, a sentence, a message that is coming from someone else. You can apply this to everything, literally. What if you need to make a decision, and for example, you need to choose between two jobs or between two locations? What could you do? Okay, this is an exercise that works so beautifully. Don't be put down, as in be refreshed to hear that repetition will lead to better result. Every time, every skill you practice, like if you try dancing or play basketball, like the first time you try, you're not going to be as accustomed to that skill to level 10 or the 100th time that you tried. Yeah, makes sense? So it's going to be exactly the same with this technique. Sit with yourself, especially if you have zero practice with meditation or staying in quiet between yourself. You can practice a space, try to ground yourself, imagine yourself connected to the heart, to nature, as in you don't want to go too up, you don't want to be too up in the earth. Like, we want to retain that connection. We're still soul, but still having a physical body experience. So it's so important to ground and to stay connected with the body, with nature, with the ground. Do a few breaths to connect within, and then see the two scenario. So imagine yourself in scenario A, see it with your own mind's eye, feel it, try to feel and imagine what it would be like, see yourself there, and check within you. Is that expanding you, or is that shrinking you in? Do you feel joy, or do you feel a pushback? This could be perceived through a sense of knowing. It could be a feeling, so it could be a feeling of the most, like, I can feel it within the cell, so that's why, like, even the heart, expansion or excitement or joy would be like expanding of your energy field, which is very much linked to the electromagnetic field, like when we reach heart coherence, to something that Joe Dispenza describes a lot and in a very thorough way, but simple to understand. When you go into heart coherence, the electromagnetic field that your heart can generate is so powerful, 10,000 times stronger than the one that the mind can generate. So this is also why, like, if the emotions, as in the example that we did at the beginning of the video, are tied to negative thoughts, example spiraling down of the anxiety, then obviously following the emotion is not going to be good. But there is a discernment. If you go underneath to the core pillar of what you feel, then the heart, connected to the message of the soul, it would be a very different sense of groundedness. So some people use these words interchangeably. Be aware that there is this difference. If you're not too much aware of how to ground yourself and how to discern your inner voice, then there might be this mistake of, well, following emotioning is just for the fools. It may lead you off track. Yes, of course, that's right. It may lead you off track, but it's when you learn to distinguish the layers and how to go to the core foundation, then actually that's going to be your base foundation. And you always know, you can always check within. This practice is going to become second nature and much faster for you to know and feel within if something is expanding you or is shrinking you down. So if you go then and do exactly the same with situation B, this could be also a relationship. Being in the relationship, not being in the relationship. You achieving a goal or versus something else. Scenario B, you do the same. Close the eyes, breathe, connect with yourself, feel it. And you can feel it as you try to feel it. You can try to feel it in different parts of the body. Okay, try to feel it in the mind. Now try to feel it in the gut. Try to feel it in the heart. Do you feel happy? Do you feel not too much happy? If you haven't practiced this in so many years, just go back to the memories of when you were a child, when you were a kid. Can you remember being happy, like something that makes you happy? So that could be the reference of what does it feel for you to be happy, bubbly, and joyful. And you can live to that standard, to those emotions at any time, at any stage of your life. That this is something really to practice. I'm looking forward to hear from you. What other techniques do you practice to know whether something is right for you? I hope this video was helpful and have a wonderful day for now. Thank you.